Hello everyone, Joe Vitale, American Retirement Advisors with the Gradient Investments weekly talking points for the week ending October 21st, 2022. Let's get into stocks. Equities were up last week across the major indices with the S&P 500 up 4.75%. The Russell 2000 added 3.57 and the NASDAQ was up 5.22. Now overseas, the developed markets, which is the EFA, was up 0.55 and the emerging markets gained only 0.21. Within the U.S., the best performing sectors were energy and technology, while utilities and staples were the laggards. Growth outperformed value, and large caps outperformed small caps. Let's get into fixed income. Yields on the 2-year, the 10-year, and the 30-year treasuries reached multi-year records last week before retreating somewhat as investors began to scale back their forecast for another 75 basis point interest rate hike by the Federal Reserve at their December meeting. So the benchmark 10-year Treasury ended the week at 4.21, up 21 basis points. Commodities, which is pretty much the only thing that's up this year, and energy, of course. Palladium, which is a precious metal strategy holding, has outperformed the other key precious metals year to date, rising 5% as the others have fallen. Now, Russia is the key provider of palladium with nearly 45% of the global reserve. With sanctions on Russian goods in place for most of the year, prices have been pushed up. But the lowered production of vehicles globally due to multi-supply shortages, demand for palladium has been curtailed. As manufacturing improves, demand and pricing are expected to rise. So let's talk about economic data. Manufacturing output rose 0.4% in September, well ahead of the consensus expectations of 0.1% gain. Now last month, durable goods manufacturing rose 0.5%. And within that, the important motor vehicle and parts segment rose 1%. Housing starts, which is a measure of U.S. home building, fell 8.1% in September compared with the previous month and declined 7.7% on a year-over-year basis. These mark the 4th consecutive month of declines and were below expectations, mostly for multifamily units. Mortgage applications for home purchases were down 38% year-over-year in the weekly report as the mortgage rate on a 30-year term reached 6.94% last week. So of course, you're going to see more houses on the market. People aren't going to move if they're at 2.5–3%. So we're going to see that softening if we haven't seen that already. It's definitely happening right now. Let's get into company news. We've got some good news here. So Lam Research Corp, which is a contrarian choice holding, rose 17.25% last week. Revenues and earnings for the last quarter were ahead of expectations, and management raised guidance for the current quarter. Netflix, which is a G33, contrarian, and a CoreSelect holding, rose 25.9% last week following their quarterly report that showed renewed growth in the number of subscribers together with revenue and earnings that beat expectations. Investors were also encouraged by the upcoming rollout of ad-supported services. Splunk Inc., which is a G33, contrarian, and CoreSelect holding, increased 12.77% last week. Major news services stated that the activist shareholder group, Starboard Value, has taken a stake in the software maker and plans to push for changes. The CEO of Starboard is expected to discuss the matter publicly this week. That concludes this week's market update. We thank you for being part of our ARA family. To contact us, of course, call us at 855-756-5700. Visit us at aradvisorsinc.com. Don't forget to visit our Facebook and YouTube pages and scan the QR code to get our newsletter. Share it with somebody else. Also, remember, we're getting close to the end of the year now, right? So we want to look at Roth conversions. We want to look at strategies. We want to look at ways to get tax-free income to maximize our tax brackets right now. So that we can take advantage of the low tax environment that we're going to have for a little while longer, and also have a happy, safe Halloween. Hope you enjoy it with your family and able to have some family time this weekend. God bless you. Take care. We'll see you next week.